Welcome back to The Grateful Artist. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, energy. Well, it's energy about receiving and giving. And this is a really important part of ourselves that we need to look at and understand. And a lot of this broken receiver and giver is unconscious. We're not even aware of this. And if we are aware, we're like, gosh, I can't receive. Gosh, I can't give. But for the most part, why? Why can't we do that? We really kind of need to look at it because for me, energy is everything. It is how I connect to this world. It makes me have certain actions. It makes me realize where I'm at and I can feel the energy in everything that I do with my art. And I also can feel the energy when someone gives me something. That's really difficult for me. That's where my work is. Still, that's where my work is. I have had a lot of milestones with this and a lot of insights and did a lot of research. And I think that it's a wounded receiver and a wounded giver. There's a reason for everything that we do, but energy wise, it's attached to something when we can't receive something with gratitude and give something with gratitude. So that's basically what we're talking about today. And it's about tapping into kind of what is your wound. If it's a wounded receiver, you must have received it somewhere, some kind of message saying it's bad to receive. And also you must have received something in your past that said it's okay to take without doing anything for anyone else. And it's not even a selfish thing. Sometimes you accept help freely, which I am jealous of. I wish I could do that. But if it's all you do is receive, then it's broken. Those extreme ends don't work. And usually in my practice, it's always the middle way is the answer. So we're trying to find a middle way with this. And, I have wrote a book called The Broken Receiver. It will be out hopefully by January, and I'm really excited about it. And this is kind of what we're going to talk about in the book. And so today I just kind of want to give you an idea of what I'm working on and what I feel is really powerful to give away. And for me, just sharing my research and sharing my thoughts is part of me giving, and I can freely give, and that's part of my purpose, and that's beautiful. But receiving is very difficult for me. Still, it's not as difficult as it was before, and because I understand what energy is. If I block receiving without gratitude and just saying thank you and really soaking it in and feeling, wow, that was so nice of that person, whatever it is, I'm breaking this beautiful energy exchange that we can have. And not only that, I'm breaking the energy, the full circle. Like my meditations are full circles. Circles are energy to me. They vibrate out into the world, everything that you are. And it vibrates back everything you are. So if you do not receive very well, then you're not going to receive in lots of different ways. There's going to be a lot of blocks. So I think that that's kind of the most beautiful part of this journey is really looking into why. Why is my receiver broken? And some people's giver is broken. So it makes sense when we delve into our past, our childhood wounds. We look at what brought us to this belief system that this exchange of energy is not very comfortable. So, I try to connect with my energy, everything I do. And even when I put out negative energy, that's something I address right away because I have to counteract it. I have to do something that mends it. And so every day I'm kind of watching what I'm doing. And, I might say something negative about somebody and that energy that's out there, I don't like. It's an awful feeling. What can I do? I can make amends to that person. I could make amends to myself for doing that. And I can kind of clean the energy of it. That might stop the energy from not flowing perfectly. It might. I don't know. But I do believe that what we put out there is what we get back. I mean, it really is. I mean, I've done a lot of research and a lot of proof over it. So that is where I'm at. And so when I was younger, childhood wounds, I was taught that I was selfish to receive. And I should be thankful to receive. So yes, I would learn that. But also like taking was shameful. And and that I shouldn't receive something without returning something. And so my parents had the same thing. They didn't like receiving either. And if someone tried to give them something, it was almost like insulting to them. But they would immediately have to give back right away. Oh, equally, whatever it is, or 10 times more, because they felt like, and I don't even know if it's conscious, but maybe it's like a upper hand or something, or energy. And I started noticing, trying to give to people, wow, people just don't like it. It attacks a part of them that is so uncomfortable that they can react in such a negative way. And I remember I used to give, this is the important part of giving. I used to give without judgment. That was the work. Okay, so giving without judgment. I remember going to Starbucks, and I would purposely not look behind me, but I would buy whatever their drink was or their order without looking at them, because I didn't want to have a prejudice against giving. And I found that a lot of people really got bothered by me giving without clarifying who they were and were they worthy enough of receiving. And I don't think that that's really what true giving is. So I purposely didn't look behind me. I just would give whatever, and I just feel good about it. Like, oh, I hope I made someone's day, and I'd drive away. One day I did that and just bought a $5 drink for somebody, and I drove out of there. I drove probably a mile away to CVS, and as I'm walking into CVS, there's this lady. She pulls up really fast in front of the CVS, and she runs out and she goes, "Excuse me, I don't need your fucking money." And so she throws $5 bill on the floor in front of me, and I'm sitting in the doorway, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. And then I just turned around, not picking up the $5 bill. And then I started walking away, and then she starts crying, and she grabs me and says, "I'm so sorry." And then she starts crying hysterically. And I'm sitting there with the doorbell ringing, ding, ding, and it's a narrow doorway. And she's holding me, the stranger that I wanted to give, make her day. And she's crying, "I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, it's okay. So as I'm holding her, I'm thinking, I still should give. I shouldn't be able to, this is a good thing. And maybe it's her struggle, whatever she's going through. But it was a really strong reaction to me buying her a drink. And it really that was, I don't know, 5 years ago. And it got me thinking, wow, people really have a hard time receiving. And then I'm like, oh, wait, so do I, there's something into this. So there's a lot of investigation that I've worked on and tried to figure this out. And, I've had girlfriends that, we'd have this huge group of 12 people, and we'd all get together for Christmas and exchange gifts. And everyone started getting upset because one person would give too much, one person wouldn't give enough, and then we put a limit on it. Okay, let's put a limit on it. You only can spend $10 or whatever. And if someone goes over, they get mad because, of course, they feel obligated to do something more. So giving and receiving became transactional, and also it would trigger these, obviously, if you didn't have money, you don't want to buy 12 gifts for 12 people, so we just gave one gift to one person. But it really revealed something to me that was like the uncomfortability of, not only did you give me something, because I loved giving gifts, because I was a people pleaser. So I'm like, oh, this is so great. And they were like, this is awful. Don't do this. Please stop doing this, And that was heartbreaking because I just wanted to make their day. A lot of times I gave my art or whatever. And it's just, to me, such a joy to purely give and not really care about receiving anything in return, because I don't really want to receive anything at that point. So the negotiation between friends and the guilt that you apply on people without even knowing, it just automatically gets to a guilt, shame, and now I have an obligation to give you back. Damn it. And it wrecks them. It can ruin a relationship over it. It's really bizarre. So pride comes in, creates a barrier that won't let you receive. This ego, the shame, no, I don't need anything. I'm self-reliant. Don't you dare, give me something. I'm not needy, I remember going to the store, and I was in my paint clothes, and someone gave me a whole bunch of food, and I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, it looks like you need it. And I was like, oh, you think I'm homeless? And I probably did look pretty homeless, but it was like, I was so no, I don't, thanks, but no. And I handed them back, and they felt bad. And I was like, gosh, that's hilarious for one, but I would never receive something if I didn't need it, right? And even if I needed it, I definitely wouldn't receive it. But it was interesting. People just gave freely like that, just making a judgment on me. Wow, homeless person, here you go. And I'm like, don't you see all the paint all over me? Like, I'm working here. But anyway, it was a funny experience. But it really does show you there's a lot of beautiful people out there just wanting to give. And it's really difficult to give to people that you don't know their story. And I've done that so many times. I mean, just recently, that's what kind of sparked this podcast, because I was actually not going to do this podcast till the book was out. But I love giving to people if I can, and anonymously, mainly. That's the most important thing. But giving to them in front of people, you don't realize you're embarrassing people. And that is something that, I wasn't even thinking. I was at a grocery store, and this older lady, she was in her 80s, and she had a whole bunch of vegetables and a carton of milk, and she said, they rang up the milk, and then she shook her head no, and she grabbed all the vegetables and handed it to the cashier. And I said, "Oh, can I buy your groceries?" And she looked at me with a frown saying no. And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, dang it, I wanted to help her, and I didn't know her situation. And then they ring up the taxes with the milk, and then she hands the cashier $5, and it's not enough. So he says, "You're $1.38 short." And I want to give her the money, and she just shakes her head no, and she walks away, leaving the $5 with the guy. So then he's like, "Oh no, what should I do?" I said, "I'll pay the difference. I'll just bring her the milk." So I chased her out of the store, and I said, "Oh, here's your milk." And she's like looking at me, frowning and saying, "Thank you," and then walked away. And I said, "Oh, damn it." And I still wanted to help her. I was like, she obviously needs help, and I wish I could get her the vegetables. And, what a dummy. I'm sitting here thinking, I want to help this person, and she's saying no several times. Her receiver is broken. She will not receive. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, she needs me. Put on your cape and go help. So I go back. The cashier won't even take the difference. They just write it off. And then I'm sitting there, and I go, oh, I'm going to get a lotto ticket, and it's worth like $1 billion or something. And I look out, and she's digging in the garbage can for bottles. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. I have to give her something, dummy. Basically, go out there and say, "Ma'am, is it okay if I give you some money?" And she grabs her chest and says, "No, absolutely not." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm so sorry for asking." And she's like, "That's fine." And then she turned around, and I don't know if she was homeless or, obviously short of money, but I couldn't do anything. But my mind was like, how can I get money to this woman? I was going to follow her and figure out where she lives. And I mean, my whole mind was like, I was crying. I wasn't like, it was painful to watch. She's 85 years old at least, and she didn't have enough money for vegetables. And it broke my heart, but also then I started looking at myself like, wow, like that was actually rude. I shouldn't have done that in front of people. I shouldn't have impressed myself saying, "No, you need this. No, no, no." If someone doesn't want something, you have to honor that. And of course you can ask, but you got to think about what you're doing and why. And in front of people, that's not kind. Even though I thought I was kind. But it just reminded me how powerful that broken receiver, no matter what, if she needed money and she needed food, and maybe this milk will last a week for her, I have no idea. But when you're so prideful and you're filled with, no, I can take care of myself, and you really need help and you still won't ask, that's the story of my life. That's been my life from the very beginning. And I remember not having any. I had $75 in my bank account. I had to pay some bills, and a girlfriend came up and said, "Oh, I didn't pay my phone bill, and they're going to double charge me. Can I borrow money?" And I was like, "Sure. How much do you need?" $200. Or no, it was $100 or something like that. I gave her a check. I knew I was going to bounce. Or it didn't bounce. I actually did overdraft. And I was charged overdraft fees until I had money. And I was so prideful. I didn't want her to know I didn't have money either. Like that's, you're giving at the expense of yourself. That's where it's broken. If you are thinking the other person's more important than you, and you are giving when you can't, at the detriment of yourself, that's where we're lost here. So the whole thing is, It's very interesting because I didn't realize I was a people pleaser from my childhood. I didn't realize that I loved giving because I felt like that's what would make me happy, make me feel good about myself. So I went to the extreme of giving where I would wound myself to give. I would sacrifice everything to give. And that's not good either. That's actually really unhealthy. So finding a middle way is, where the work is. What is middle way? So I couldn't even take a compliment. Someone would make a compliment and go, yeah, whatever, like, okay. Or I'd make fun of myself and say, yeah, I showered at least, or, something, instead of just saying, thank you, that's so sweet. I couldn't say that. Today I can. And I actually will actually pause a little longer and going, wow, that was so sweet of you to say. Like, that's so nice. Because when we learn that someone is giving of themselves, whether it be a kind word or anything, and they really wanted to give to you, you're robbing them of that. Like, I was thinking of you and I got this for you, and for you to say no, absolutely not, is robbing them of a joy that they are trying to express upon you. And so that's where now I am soaking it in. And so at Starbucks, people buy me drinks all the time. I go up and they buy me drinks, and I don't feel compelled to give the person behind me all the time a drink. I just sit there and go, oh my gosh, thank you. That made my day. How cool is that? Instead of going, oh my God, I have to give to the next person. There's something there, and there's nothing wrong with giving to the next person, but I'm learning to receive. So I'm practicing this. This is something, I'm a work in progress here. I am, I'm not at the pinnacle of being a receiver yet, but I definitely know where the work is. So the power of gratitude is so beyond powerful, because when you take that pause and you hold it in you in a deeper level, that energy explodes around you. And it's a full circle. It's something that will flow, and you'll know your life is flowing when you're giving and receiving, and in a reasonable manner. So I also had some people in my life that can take, because I was a giver, so I met a lot of takers, and these people would take endlessly and see no problem with that. Oh my gosh, I would love to give to them, and I would. Oh, they need my help? Let me help you. But then I saw them continue to take, and they were suffering. There's a saying called giving hands are full and taking hands are empty. That's it. Is that when you only take on the far extreme and you don't give back, not to say that you have to give back because you're taking, but that it's not even on your wheelhouse. It's not even a concern or a thought that I need to be there for anyone else. There's something there. Usually both are struggling. Okay, both ends. There's depression. There's a lack of self. There's a lack of joy. There's a lack of, having your life work out. A lot of them in the taking will have nothing. They're barely getting by. But yet they would never consider going out of their way to give to someone in need. I had those people in my life for quite a long time where they would be making fun of me for giving to a homeless person because, of course, they're going to just take drugs and blah, 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 the judgment of everyone. And I would say, I don't judge them. They need money here. Like, there's not a judgment on somebody. But it was very visceral to them to do that. Everyone had to have this judgment. Do they even deserve it? So I saw the struggle of the mind in these people, and they suffered greatly. Some people I know continue to suffer. They're 55 years old, and that's all they do is take. They don't have a home. They don't have friends. They're alone and miserable, but they're filled with judgment, and they're filled with how can I get something from you? Like, it's I guess I can't relate to that part of the brain, but I can see the dysfunction, of why, energy wise. If there's something in you that doesn't make you feel like I'm here for a reason and I have a purpose to give, whether it be a compliment, kindness, anything, there's something imbalanced. There's something missing. So, not to say that all takers are mentally not well and all extreme givers are not mentally well, but it is something mental. It is something connected to our belief systems, our wounds, our processing. So my receiver process is broken and it's being repaired. It's getting there and I can see it flowing. I can feel the energy and it's really amazing when it actually flows and works. So I think it's not judging these people that take, but recognizing the suffering that happens. And for me, I just have to learn to sit with the discomfort. I have to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. But I also have to be aware of that energy and turn it into gratitude. So I soak it in, I feel it, I'm grateful. And when we give, this is probably, you probably heard that from your mother or anything. When you give, you should never expect something in return. And that's including love. If you can just love with no expectations, and if you can give with no expectations, that's pure joy of giving. You love to give, that's when I know I can give. If I truly want to give and it's all just joy, that's when I act. If I don't want to give, then I don't. It's okay. There's no judgment on that either. But rejecting and refusal to take or give is kind of, it's interesting where you're trying to like connect to why am I refusing this and why am I not willing to. There's something there. So releasing judgment towards others is key. I mean, it's key to life, key to happiness, key to everything. If you get rid of your judgment on yourself and others, you're going to be a free spirit. That's hands down, you will be a free spirit. But I challenge you every day. Count how many times you judge someone. I mean, I already judged someone 3 times, today. And it's interesting because it's so subconscious and so accepting and so part of our life. Like, oh, that person's not really nice. That person's, this or whatever. There's judgment on everything. But that inward judgment is where the work is, because once you become inwardly free of judgment, you take a sacred pause before you apply that judgment on somebody. Not always. Obviously, I had 3 today. That's a lot. But I'm able to reflect on it. I'm able to see it and go, oh, that's a judgment. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, let me investigate. Let me look at this and let me put it a different way. Let me try to understand this person, because maybe I was quick to judge and I really opened the door for a conversation and I heard more details and I said, oh, wow, I was quick to judge. And I forgive myself because I don't want to punish myself for being imperfect, because, that's basically, torture for our whole life. So after we release all that, a big part of our life, if we look at our purpose in life and we have this journey and we're on this journey to make the world around us better, and we don't want to judge our neighbors, our friends, if we don't want that and we get rid of that, then we start looking for the all those little pearls in life, all those beautiful relationships, beautiful connections, beautiful energy flow. So, of course, I work on trusting the universe and timing of things. Things that come to me tell me, hey, you need some work here. Because here I am ready to do the podcast. And then I started thinking, wow, I was judgmental today. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect. I'm working on it. But I'm seeing it. And I trust the universe is bringing it to me. Here you have some work to do. Why don't you surrender to this control and you look at what's happening? And then be patient, have patience with yourself and trust that it's leading you to a better place within yourself and then others. But really it's about trying to make sure inside you are free of everything that presses you down. So the the gift of being vulnerable is huge. And that's the part that's the biggest struggle for me. I don't want to be vulnerable to people. I don't want to, I'm fighting that my whole life because I can take care of myself. And that vulnerability will deepen the longer and the more that you work on this compassion, understanding, non-judgment. So it is like a storybook in your life when you start turning these pages and you start really connecting to your energy and you see it grow and you see how beautiful it is and you see the magic of things coming your way that you never even expected. It's a wonderful thing. So I hope that this podcast about our energy and our receiving and giving has helped you maybe connect to kind of what's happening here, because a lot of it is stemmed into a lot of depression and sadness when we are kind of extremes. So middle way is, wow, thank you. That's beautiful. I love that. And how can I help you? Can I help you? Oh, no? Okay. It's just basically just being available and seeing opportunities to give, but yet be conscious of how you're giving and take great care of the people you're giving to. And really embrace the flow of energy, because if you feel this energy, you would know what to do instinctively. You would know what to do with it. Whether you react unkind to someone or get upset at someone or whatever it is, you know how to take great care of that to turn it into beautiful energy. And you can do it. So thank you for showing up today, and I hope that you got something out of this, and I look forward to the Broken Receiver coming out in January of 2026. It's going to be exciting. It may be even earlier, I'm not sure, but it will be announced soon. But thank you so much for showing up.